Good morning, everyone. Uh, First of all, I take this opportunity to thanks uh, the Revenue Division of the Finance Department, Pathak sir, especially, and I welcome all the dignitaries who are coming from different parts of the country to Rajasthan. I hope you enjoy your stay here. So this is more of conversation. I think I am in a company with people who have much more knowledge and experience than I have in the finance sector. So I like to keep this session as interactive as possible since time immemorial. So what I want to discuss, what I want to talk about is that as we move forward, what are the challenges we have, what are the problems we face, and I'll also briefly talk about some of the initiatives which government of Rajasthan has taken in overcoming those challenges. So a typical public financial management architecture has a number of activities. One of the basic activities, budget allocation to different functionaries in the government, right? uh, the way this typically works is that government passes the budget, like the assembly passes the budget, and then you allot budget to the BCOs, and then BCOs pass on that budget to the grid, right? So this is a typical cycle of a PFM architecture, right? Starting with the budget preparation and then budget allocation, and then it goes on. It's a cyclical process. Every step feeds on to the next block, and then the cycle completes. What we are looking at is how can we automate this process as much as possible. And it's not, again, automation is already happening to some extent in at different stages in different states. But why should we automate, and what are the problems we face in automation? That's what I will talk about. And then how can we integrate all these blocks in one particular cycle? How can we reform our traditional treasury model, and how can we use the emerging technologies for better decision making? That's what the idea is. So first concept I want to talk about is a pool budget. So the idea here is that traditionally what government does, that we have the budget allocation process. A budget is given to the BCOs, and the BCOs further assign that budget to the DDOs. You all understand this terminology, I hope, right? Because I believe every one of us is from the finance background. Can anyone tell me what is the problem with this process? What happens when you give BCOs the power to allocate the budgets down to the DDOs? Has anyone experienced it in the states? तो आपने जैसे, आई विल स्पीक इन हिंदी एंड इंग्लिश आई गेस इफ एवरीवन इज कंफर्टेबल विद दैट. तो आपने अगर चीफ इंजीनियर को लेट अस से बजट अलॉट किया, एंड देन द चीफ इंजीनियर इज अलॉटिंग द बजट to the different DDOs, which is XCNs, what happens? What is the problem we generally face? What are the complaints you get in such a system? Yes, sir. Exactly, sir. So delays. Exactly. So one problem is delay. Second problem is that the BCO starts acting as a gatekeeper. So whichever favorite XCN or whichever favorite DDO is, particular person will be allotted budget funds by breaking, or maybe, the priority is not purely meritocratic. So what government of Rajasthan has done is we have started the concept of pool budget. So the budget is still allotted to BCO, but all the DDOs can see that budget allocation. So DDOs don't need to come to the BCO for budget allocation, and it is first in, first out. Whichever DDO is efficient, he or she can always take advantage of the budget which is available in the budget head, and do the expenditure. So, so these are the kind of small interventions I mean when I talk about the next gen PFM. Then the BFCs, most of the BFCs now in Rajasthan, what we are doing are online. So you have all the estimates are available in FMS, in the FMS system we have, so that the even the budget estimates are also prepared through a financial management software rather than manually. Then what some of then we are trying to bring in a commitment and control management system. The idea here is that many of the commitments of the government run across years, right? Or even decades. So you have a large dam which is coming up. The completion might take 5 to 7 years or even longer. How do you keep track of all these commitments? So all the states do have some sort of management architecture, but sometimes it is Excel based, sometimes it's intuitive, sometimes it's institutional memory by of those officers who stay in those positions. So what we are trying here is having a module which is a part of the FMS system of the state, so that at any time you can keep track of what are the commitments of the state based on the sanctions which the government has issued over the years, so that you know exactly how much money you have in the kitty. Then procurement management. What is the problem you feel when you work in the states? What is the problem you feel in procurement management? Where where do we? Of course, there are a lot of problems, but you all, I guess, you know, the value for money as a principle is often talked about in procurement management. Value for money means that buying the right quantity, buying the right quality, and in the timely fashion at the right time. In procurement management, what happens is many a times quantity and quality, of course, we do try to take care of. The timely component becomes a bit of a problem. So, for example, in case of essential drugs, whatever is the stock available with you, sometimes we don't know, and just at the last moment the procurement will be initiated, and then you know, you have limited time to do that procurement. Similarly, there are many instances where even though the various procurement allows laws allow for extension, but even those extension times lapse and still the new procurement hasn't been done. This is a problem which is common in many procurement systems. So what we are trying to do here is again developing a procurement module which is an end-to-end. So it is integrated with the stock and inventory system. So the moment your stock and inventory system goes below a certain threshold, automatically the procurement should be initiated or an alert should be generated. And then the procurement doesn't end with just getting paying the money to the procurer. There is a whole process of appeal. For example, in Rajasthan we have uh, a, RTPP, Rajasthan Transparency in Public Procurement Law, and other states also have similar systems. So then the procurement is not just about buying a particular thing, it also should initiate, it also should be able to give faith, trust to the different stakeholders that the procurement is transparent. That means addressing the complaints. In case of RTPP, there is an appeal process. So all that things should be integrated in one particular module, starting from the way procurement is initiated to how the procurement is ended and the contract begins. So that is what I mean when I say that we are trying to focus on value for money and transparency in procurement management. Sir.
अलग अलग डिपार्टमेंट से अलग अलग प्रोक्योरमेंट अगर सेम चीज की करते हैं, जैसे एक सिंपल A4 साइज का पेपर भी हो सकता है और किसी जगह पर फर्नीचर या कंप्यूटर भी हो सकता है, टेक्निकल स्पेसिफिकेशन को ध्यान में रखते हुए अगर कंपेरेटिव लिस्ट आती है तो ये पता चल सकता है कि किस जगह पर प्रोक्योरमेंट हायर रेट पर जा रहा है। कहीं ऐसा तो नहीं कि उसकी टेक्निकल क्वालिफिकेशन को थोड़ा सा हम नीचे लाते, बार नीचे लाते। इवन अगर हम मैन पावर हायर करते हैं तो कहीं पर कहीं ज्यादा जा रहा है, कहीं कम, तो इसकी एनालिटिक्स भी शायद हमारे लिए उपयोगी हो सकती है।
That's very right, sir. That the way we do procurement, wo market study, what we do, it should be more evidence based, as you are saying. That's right, and that's where we can also do more. So the third part of PFM is expenditure and payment management, and here I will like to take a moment as we walk through this slide and the next. I've already talked about the IT based stock and inventory management. One thing is automation of workflow for salary and non-salary bills. Can anyone guess what is the amount of, not Rajasthan, Kader, please. What is the number of social security pensioners in Rajasthan? Any wild guess? Based on your state, maybe you can, whatever is the number in your state, and then you can try to uh, extrapolate that number to Rajasthan. Any rough guess? No, no rights or wrong. Yes, that's the right number. It's approximately 1 crore, 1 CR. But every 3 crores is that's way off the mark. that's that's way off the mark. But still, yeah, the right. So we are paying all these social security pensioners every month their guaranteed pension, which is at least 10,000 rupees. Sorry, 1,000 rupees. And all that is done without eyeballing in the treasuries. There's a single treasury in the state which is doing all these social security pensions, and this is also doing various other social welfare schemes. So that is what is the automation of a workflow for salary and non-salary bills. So in our PFM, IFMS is the heart of the public finance management architecture as we see it, which is an IT based architecture. The key thing to note is that an ideal PFM, all these blocks otherwise also exist in some shape or the rest in different states. The idea here is that these blocks should speak to each other. So inventory management should be speaking to procurement and auction management, as I mentioned earlier. The commitment and control system is speaking to the budget management. Uh, the employees self-service, where employees can go and uh, look at their salary slips. We also have a system now in Rajasthan where employees can earn salary in advance. So for example, if you have worked for 10 days in a month, you can get salary for even those 10 days without waiting for the month end. So that particular module is speaking to the pensioner self-service module, because the moment you become a pensioner, uh, that transition should happen seamlessly. And then you have a cash and debt management system where the government, whatever OMBs is government is taking from the market, uh, that should also be speaking with the cash management. And then the parastatals, which are generally out of the ambit of the state finance department monitoring, even the parastatals and the local bodies, how do we bring them into the FMS, is that's what we are working on. So when I speak about cyber treasury, the idea here is that over times what has happened is that our systems have become so much automated that at the treasury level, no eyeballing is required. So you already have an accounts person who's sitting in the departments, who's doing the checks of the bills. What happens is that with the same process being replicated in the treasury, the whole process takes time. So the idea here is that to do away with this duplicity of effort and have a single cyber treasury, which is something like the PAO system in government of India and bring down this transactional time. And a key part of PFM, which generally we overlook, is the pensioners. Because the moment government employees go out of the is retired, the biggest grievance they feel is that we are being treated as an outsider. So now with all this robust IT architecture in place, we are able to provide solutions like the pensioners get their retirement benefits on the day they retired. Earlier, we had the system that if you retire, the very next day you have to go and prove to the treasury that you are a living person. We have done away with that system again because of the IT system in place. For a living certificate, if you are doing any transaction anywhere in the state, which is linked with the state's IT infra. For example, we have a cashless health insurance scheme. So if a pensioner is taking that benefit using its biometric, then there is no need for any life certification. So those are the things we are trying to move on as we move forward. So to sum up, the next gen public financial management PFM architecture, as we see, some of these things we have done, some of these things we are doing, and it's a work in progress. But the basic principle is, first of all, to flatten the hierarchy. So if I talk about cyber treasury, if I'm talking about pool budget, the idea is that you need not have any hierarchy. And then removing the gatekeepers. So when I talked about BCO, it is he or she is a gatekeeper. Similarly, if in an inventory system, the person who's in charge of the store is a gatekeeper. So if we can bring in more transparency and everyone can see what is there in the store, you can break down that nexus. And then important thing is institutionalize the logic of financial management, because what happens over the years is as we move more and more towards IT system, nobody is reading these books of the financial accounting rules. So if we can incorporate that logic into the IT system itself and put in the validation, that can improve the efficiency. And finally, expanding the definition of public. When we think about public financial management system, it's not just the government's budgetary support, it is also parastatals, it is also PSUs, and it is also local bodies, which are generally left out of the ambit of uh, the, the PFMS which the states have. Thank you. Any suggestions, any feedback, any questions?
एनालिटिक्स कुछ हम लोगों के पास इस प्रकार की आ सकती हो कि ओवर द टाइम रेवेन्यू और एक्सपेंडिचर किसी डिपार्टमेंट के में या उसकी किसी स्कीम में या किसी उसके हेड में बढ़ा या घटा, पिछले 30-40 सालों के भीतर का एक डाटा, किसके भीतर बहुत स्टीप ग्रोथ हुई, किसके भीतर नॉर्मल ग्रोथ है या किसमें डिक्लाइन है। तो इस प्रकार की रिपोर्ट शायद हमारी पॉलिसी लेवल को कहीं ना कहीं समझने में आगे बेहतर। तो अगर हम पूरे टाइम फ्रेम को बांट लें कि 4 दशकों में या 3 दशक में जो भी हम देखना चाहते हैं, कुछ स्कीम्स एकदम नई शुरू होंगी, वो हम लोगों को काफी उपयोगी हो सकती है। इस पर भी एक बार देख लीजिएगा।
सही है। And I think that that's probably the topic of the next session as well, of how to use data analytics and AI for better revenue augmentation.
एक दो शब्द अगर आप पेंशन पर भी बोल सकें, सैलरी पर जैसे बोला, अभी आपने काफी रिफॉर्म किया है तो लोगों को शायद काम में आ जाए।
सोशल सिक्योरिटी पेंशन
नहीं, एम्प्लॉइज की पेंशन के भीतर कुछ बेहतर।
हाँ, एम्प्लॉइज के पेंशन में सिर्फ 2-3 चीजें व्हाट वी हैव डन इज वन, we have assured all the employees that the day you retire you will get your GPO CPO. That means all your sanction on the last day of retirement. And for that, the major thing which we have done is we have removed the onus of many works which were traditionally expected to be done by the pensioners to the head of office. For example, we did a data analytics sir, actually for why pensioners are getting delayed in the last 1 year. The big, can anyone guess what was the biggest reason for the delay in pensioner in sanction of pensions for employees? Service record, that we have done away with, because every employee now has a service record already in the FMS. So you don't need a service record. Other guesses? No dues.
No dues, exactly, NOCs.
NOCs, exactly. So why do we need NOCs from the government employees? If a government has given, if your department has given anything, let's say a laptop or a phone, or whatever, it's the house uh, pending rent, it should be already there in the FMS. There is no reason that we should ask the employees to go and get that NOC from all these multiple departments. So we have again shifted that responsibility from the employee to the head office. That in a particular time, if they don't give, they should tell that whether there are any dues of of an employee. If they don't say, if they don't mention it on the FMS, it will be deemed that there are no dues of that particular employee, and the pension will be sanctioned. Last year, this was a budget announcement. Yes, so this was the budget announcement of this year. Another thing is similarly, a major problem is mismatch in names, mismatch in photographs. Now, again, all these systems are there in FMS, which should be ideally taken care of when the salary is being made. Why should a pensioner be asked to get all these things rectified on the last day of retirement? You already have all these things in the FMS. So sending alerts to the pensioners, telling them that these are the mismatches in your records, kindly get them rectified. That's what we are. Sorry? What time? We?
You said there are alerts that are going on to the employees that these are the mismatches. What time do the
So
alerts
we are moving that time frame. It was again because this is like a work in progress. We started these alerts. So initial time frame was a couple of months. Now we are increasing it to 6 months, and now we are putting out a list on the website of the pension, that for the for all the retirees who are going to be there in the next 1 year, this is the record we have. And also we are trying to create a policy where these data mismatches can be corrected from the other existing data available with the government. For example, in case of photographs, we already have the photographs of the employees in the health insurance cards I was mentioning about. So we can take these photographs from those cards rather than asking the employees. Any other questions? Thank you.